Good morning, everyone. This is yours truly, Mr. Manikantan, and we are at the grand finale of F1 2020 at Abu Dhabi. And as you can see, Lewis Hamilton is in the top spot, and as of now, Valtteri Bottas is in the second. And we are off to a flying start off here. And in Rock's own great words, though Lewis Hamilton got out of his bed, took his $100 toothbrush, brushed his teeth. Then Lewis Hamilton went out to the gym and went clanging and banging and clanging and banging, and then went into his Hummer, reached at the Abu Dhabi stadium, went in front of the millions and the millions of Lewis's fans, got out on his state-of-the-art Petronas F1 vehicle and went racing against the rest of the world. And as you can see, we have made quite a bit of distance between us and the nearest rival, which is my own fucking teammate Valtteri Bottas. And right now we are running a pair of softs which we used in qualifying 3. I was not even sure if we were able to secure that pole position because the rivals were so bloody quick. My time on the charts was 1:37.9, and the nearest rival, the guy who was in number 2, was in 1:37. It was actually 1:38.2. So 1:37.9 and 1:38.2, not much of a difference here. So I was really worried, and I knew that if I get off to a good start, and I've seen that in a couple of races since I've been doing manual restarts, that my takeoff speed has been really good. The time when the lights go out and I hit the throttle. So I had that trust in me that I would make the initial gaps to the guy behind, because I knew at some point he was going to catch up with me. And as you can see, as the game progresses, Valtteri Bottas would be getting quite close to me. At this point we have quite a bit of difference between the both of us. I'm comfortably ahead by around 2.5 seconds here. And Abu Dhabi is a beautiful circuit. If you talk about the United Arab Emirates, it is a very wealthy nation, and they have constructed a beautiful track out here. Perfect lighting. You can race here in the day, in the night, any time of the day, and anyway. So it's in the middle of a desert, so you have plenty of sunlight. In fact, too much sunlight, to be honest. And during the actual season of F1 2020, Abu Dhabi was one race where Mercedes did not win. Lewis had just come through the COVID situation. He was affected by it, and he got well, and he entered the arena just in time. Like I said in the start of my video, he went clanging and banging, and then stepped out into the arena, and he did give his best, given the condition. And as people who have been affected by COVID, they become extremely weak, and these guys, they are at the top of their game. They're the 20 fittest athletes in the whole world. So Lewis, being the athlete that he is, he managed to recover quite a bit, to an extent that he could drive this car at, and experiencing so much G-forces throughout the race. He was fit enough. He was declared fit to race. We were expecting George Russell to replace him for the final race, but Lewis was like, this is the end of the finale, baby. I have to be there. And that's why we have Lewis instead of George Russell in this race. But the problem was that Red Bull were just better that day. I would not give you any other comparisons, even though I'm a hardcore Lewis fan, and I would not give him up for anything whatsoever. But still, I would give this to Max Verstappen, that he raced a brilliant race that day. So Max came out on pole. Lewis tried his best. They worked out the strategies, but the strategies did not come in handy for Mercedes-AMG teams. And Max was the one to benefit from that, and given the fact that his car was simply faster on that particular race, Max came out on top. So Mercedes-AMG won the 2020 Grand Prix, came out with flying colors. There was a lot of gap between them and Red Bull. They have been the top contender. We have not seen Ferrari this season because of, you all know what, the big time controversy which impacted them big time, and they went down from being third in the constructors championship to around 6th, which is a sad thing. But well, that's what you get when you cheat, and your cheating is actually caught by the stewards. So Abu Dhabi circuit is a very beautiful one, and let me give you a description of the track layout here. So right now we are in one of the straights which is the longest in the entire track. There is a curve to the left. When you go down, there's a curve to the left, and then there's a heavy braking zone, and then there is the turn. And now there is a perfect ellipse corner to the right, and then there's again a heavy braking, and this is one point where I have made a lot of mistakes in the past, even though I was using a steering wheel at that point in time, but I was well new to the game, and I was running it on my PC, which is not exactly top of the line, an i3 with 2 GB of graphics and 16 GB of RAM, but still an i3 though. It kind of ran the game. It did not run it to its full potential. The graphics were not at all the best in the world. The capture that you're seeing here right now is on my PS4 Slim, and I must say there's huge difference in graphics. I could see the shine on the cars, the reflections of the crowd, when it passes by the stadium where people are clicking their photos. I could see that actually on the car. These are certain things that I just never got to see on my my PC. So I was always disappointed, but well, the game ran, and at that point that's what mattered. And I purchased a steering wheel, just so that I could get the experience. So basically I purchased the cheapest steering wheel that was available to me at the time, which was the Thrustmaster Ferrari Red Legend. In India it costs around 6k, and it's not actually a bad steering wheel. So it doesn't have force feedback, but it has paddle shifts. It has a bungee cord type steering system, wherein there is a rubber band basically that is behind the steering wheel inside. So whenever you're turning the steering wheel to the right, the stress will be applied to the rubber band in increments, and then it will be released, and the steering wheel will come down to the starting position, which is front. And we also had paddle shifts like the one you see in the modern F1 cars right behind the steering wheel. So those who are adapted manual steering can make full use of it and get the full experience. Me, on the other hand, was very new to the game, and obviously I did try manual once, and it did not go so well, trust me. Before I could even get out of the pit lane, I spun like 3 times, and my race was pretty much over at that time. So I went back to automatic steering, wherein you don't have to basically think about changing gears and traction control, ABS. So everything was done for me, but well, I did not know at the time that it cost me a lot of lap time. So and the fact that I was racing the AI at around 20%, which is very easy. So obviously, me being a bad racer at the time, even then I won by quite some margin. There were gaps of around 7 or 8 seconds on every race, which is huge. Considering that in real-time F1 races the margins are so slim, you could hardly tell it. It is just within 500th of a second. At some points it's even close to 1,000th of a second. So I was ahead by a pretty big margin, and I was very happy that I can drive this car. Now I know. But then I went racing against some of my friends. I have one of a colleague of mine. I think we are pitting this lap. Let me tell you the story afterwards. Let's see how quickly they pit. So I'll start the timer once the tires are off. 1, 2, 2.3, or I believe 2.7. Not a bad one. So I went racing against my colleague who works with me, and he is a hardcore F1 fan. And the moment I started racing him, I realized that man, this guy has pace. And obviously, I came out second, and I came out behind by a huge margin. And the fact that he had set up certain parameters of the race, which is basically to do with manual gear, manual starts and suggested gears instead of the automatic gears. My race was completely over because I've never done it. I have never run an F1 car on these kind of settings. So obviously, I had a big time wheel spin right at the start of the race. My car spun around, and by the time I was able to correct my car and face the right direction, my friend was actually a huge amount of seconds ahead. He was around 7 seconds ahead, and we have not even turned on turn 1 in Australia at that time. So then I realized that there is a lot of things which is missing that I haven't tried yet, which could make the game more interesting, more challenging. I've raced the easy part, but now I have to think about upping my game, and well, kind of showing him that I can do it too. So I gradually tried increasing my race pace. I kind of turned up a couple of settings. I turned up the difficulty, and then I realized that I should not actually be racing on a PC to get a complete experience, because if I get a good PC at that time, it would have cost me on upwards of 45,000 rupees. So what I did was I actually purchased a PlayStation 4 Slim, the one which came with 1 TB of hard drive. So I kind of purchased that from Amazon, and basically I had a brainwave. So 1 terabyte hard drive is basically a hard drive which is slow, and the fact that it is a 5400 RPM doesn't make things better. The reading speeds are pathetic, and if you're going to run a heavy title like the one we are running now, F1 2020, it's around 40-45 GB in size. So when you read that kind of a data from hard drive, that also a hard drive that runs at 5400 RPM, it's going to be slow. So I went out and bought an SSD right after I purchased my PS4. So it was around 4 days for the PS4 to come to my home, and I immediately went on Amazon and checked for a solid state drive, and I got a very good deal at around 5k, wherein I got a 500 GB SSD from Western Digital. It's Western Digital Blue. So it had good reviews. The writing and reading speeds were blazing fast as compared to my hard drive, around 5 to 6 times faster. So I got myself one, and it actually arrived before my PlayStation 4, which was good. And once my PlayStation came, I was trying to open that slot for hard drive, which was a big time pain in my ass. And then I got myself a 299 screwdriver again from Amazon, which took me a couple of days. And I was about to leave my hometown on a flight to Delhi, which is where I work. So I kind of managed to do things at the nick of the time. I was about going to leave tomorrow, and today I opened up everything, took out the hard drive, put down the SSD, and I did not run the PlayStation 4 at the time. Once I was back to Delhi, I plugged it in, flashed the new software, and ran, and I installed a couple of games like F1 2019, God of War. I completed the entire series of F1 2019, and then this month I bought this game, and getting the complete experience now, and having turned the difficulty settings to 80, things are a lot tougher. I did lose out a few races before, but now I know how to stay ahead. I will obviously be increasing the difficulty level further. I would try once with the 110 AI and see where I'm exactly standing, so that I know how much deficit I need to cover. And I would also be training on manual, so that we can have the complete experience, the gear shifts, and gain more time without any braking efforts. Not efforts, I would say. I will turn off the brake assists and then see how it works for me, and how much wheel spin I have, and how much concentration I can give to the game. So that's the kind of that's my story basically. And let's come down to the game. So we are at the point where we have pitted and changed for the mediums, and we are racing off against Max Verstappen at this point. So basically, while you're in the game, the automated voice, which is Jeff, keeps telling you about the drivers who are behind you, how long is it between you and them. So at this point, Jeff was telling me that Max was actually lapping me 1 second fast for every single lap, and the difference that I had between me and Max was around 3.84 seconds. But within a couple of laps, as you can see, during these laps, Max gained a hell lot of time on me. And well, there was a fact that I made a lot of mistakes while I was here. I was at this point making a lot of mistakes. In fact, I was getting over the curves, like you could see here. I was not at all careful to maintain my line. I was kind of feeling the pressure. I got some of the curves right, but I missed a lot of them, and that cost me a huge amount of time. And Max, being an AI, he has a set direction in which he will obviously race. So it's actually the ideal racing line, which I am also following. I turned it on in this case because so that I can hit the apex right. But Max, being the AI that he is, and kind of settings that I have, is very fast. The car is faster at every turn. It brakes late at every turn, or probably brakes in such a fashion that it does not lose a significant amount of speed. Me, on the other hand, is doing everything manually, and there are a lot of chances that I might make errors. There might be an error in turning. There might be an error where I run over the curves for a significant amount of second. That is going to cost me a lot of time, and I did a couple of such mistakes, and that gave Max a lot of chance to catch up to me. As you can see, Max is a little closer than what he was at the previous lap. So he's basically gaining time on me. As you can see here, right now the gap would be hardly a second. I would not bet more than a second here. So Max is right up my ass, and he is gaining on me. And this is one straight where I where I lose a lot of lap time on a very consistent basis, because I'm not sure about the braking zones at times. Suggestions have been given that you should watch for those markers, the 200 150 meter markers, where you can set your braking point and brake exactly when you cross it. So I have not yet started doing that. I am still kind of braking in the wind, just hoping that the car would come to a stop where I want it to. So Max is getting the full advantage out of that, and oh my god, isn't he fast? Okay, so I managed to gain a little bit of lap time, but as you could see in the later laps, I would actually lose a lot of that time, and Max would be within 500th of a second instead of the 1.2 seconds that I was maintaining it till that time. So I basically lost around 600th of a second in a certain lap that is going to come now. So basically at some straights there were a lot of markers like 200, 150, 150. So you have a lot of breaking points to choose from and see which works best for you. So he is within a second behind me. There's not much now. See, I am still trying to avoid the curves. In the last few laps I was trying to be as perfect as possible, but I made a mistake in one of the laps, and I did not have more laps to correct my mistake and create a big gap again. And as you would see what will happen now. So now Max is within 600th of a second behind me, and I believe this is the lap where I might be fucking up big time. Let's see if I run over the curbs here. Yes, I do. And again there is a turn where I tend to I basically ran over the curbs a little more than I should have, and he obviously gained a lot of time at that point. Now he's right behind me. We are no more than 300th of a second between us, and now he is in the DRS zone. Max is catching up to me now. He is inching slower and slower, and this is a very long straight. Let's see if I managed to hold him off at this time, but it is going to get a hell lot close for comfort. Again there is a DRS zone, and again Max has the DRS open. My flaps are closed because I do not have anyone in front of me, but Max doesn't. Max actually has me in front of him, so he is getting the full advantage, and now he's a little more closer. So during the closing laps, I actually was starting to develop a doubt. What if Max Verstappen basically gets ahead of me right at the final lap? And as you can see, we are almost wheel to wheel right now. And as you can see in the playback menu, there are 2 laps to go. So these 2 laps are going to be very critical for Lewis Hamilton right now. Me. So Max is basically going to chase me end to end for these 2 laps, and I was basically trying to hold him off as much as I can, and leave him some space so that he doesn't end up being stupid and hit me. But you will see what is going to happen. Now he's right alongside me. Here I braked late, and I managed to inch ahead, but Max is still behind me, and he still is going to get DRS. So there is the DRS marker, and Max is off to race me. And now I do not have any option to hold him off because it's a very long straight, and Max has... Oh, we were just about to touch each other, but I braked late, and right at the end, I went up a little ahead. But now he is again caught up with me. There's again a DRS zone now. Oh my fucking god! I was just so anxious that I would lose this one, and Max is just about trying everything that is in his book to get ahead of me. I think this is the final lap. I think so. I do not see much here. And now we are going to actually crash. Yeah, that's the crash right there. But Max again caught up with me, and well, again Max, you didn't stand a chance, did you, you poor piece of shit. So we are off to the final turn. This is the final turn of the game, and we have won the Marina Grand Prix, and Lewis Hamilton is the world champion. If you like this video guys, share and subscribe. Peace.